Well, we are back, and it's time for your email questions, so we're going to jump right in. You ready, Pat?
I'll let you know.
Okay,
Go
Vanessa starts us off. She says, my sister is a Christian. She's been married for 8 years now, and her husband is not honoring his vows to love, protect, and to provide for her. He's been in and out of prison for stealing and doing drugs, and I've never seen him hit her, but I've heard verbal abuse take place. He's stolen from our family. My sister's been trying to make it work for the sake of her daughter. As her sister, what can I do to help? I mean, I can't continue to stand by and watch her suffer. Pretty much that's the question, Pat.
Well,
what do you think?
It's a shame to have to give advice to a sister about what to do with a sister in an abuse, because I wish the sister herself had called. But look,
right.
You can say, well, she's got to tough it through. She's got to take this man to counseling. She's got to do something. That's one way. The other way is to invoke what's been called the Pauline privilege, which basically says if the unbelieving spouse is pleased to depart, let them depart. The brother or sister is not bound in that case. And I believe there's such a thing as constructive desertion, where somebody makes it impossible for a person to live with them. And I think you might find that in this case. I know there are people who probably will disagree with that, but I do think that this man has proven that living with him is an impossibility, and your sister would be a lot better off if she sought to say, according to the Apostle Paul, I'm not bound to you any longer, and I need to get a divorce.
Gotcha. Well, Javier says, I need your help, Pat.
All right.
As I type this question, I'm in tears because all my life I felt alone. I'm in the house all day because I'm sick, so I feel more alone now than I ever have before. I know suicide is not an option, but the thought of it keeps coming to my mind. How can a bedridden person, what can a bedridden person do to fight depression? All
right. First of all, I'm going to say depression is real. It's not just something that's in somebody's mind. It is a clinical condition. It is caused by imbalance in hormones and so forth that needs to be corrected, and many times can be fixed in some measures with medication. The other thing about depression is that it builds up if you don't get enough serotonin, you don't get enough sunlight in your eyes, and you're not doing exercise and you're not eating properly. If you eat a whole lot of junk food, a whole lot of sweets, things like that, it will tend to depression. Now, you say you're bedridden. Is this psychological sickness or is it real sickness? You know, some people, quote, enjoy their diseases, and I don't know if you've got one that's real or whether it's psychosomatic. I don't know, but you're not sitting here with me, so I can't tell. But I would advise you, even if your condition is physical and it's difficult, get a wheelchair, get out, get somebody to help you, get out where people are. Go to a shopping center, go out to restaurants, go out to help people, go to a homeless shelter, go out where people are and serve, and stop thinking about yourself, because you're there in this depressed state, and the longer you stay there, the worse it gets. So whatever you do, get out there. People who are overcoming incredible handicaps, and I admire them and congratulate them, and I would do the same thing for you. Overcome that handicap, but it takes an act of your will. Get up and moving.
Okay. Tommy writes in and he says, is it okay to pray for money? Well, I do all the time. Well, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Well, not really. If I really need it desperately, is it okay to pray that God will prosper me and not feel bad about it? What do you think, Pat? Have you ever prayed for money?
Well, it's part of the Lord's Prayer. Yeah. Give us this day our daily bread. Yeah. So, you know, we use the term bread to describe money. I don't think there's anything wrong with praying for money, but in a sense, what are you going to do with it? And I think that we can ask God to give us success in a business venture, that he wants us to prosper. I pray that your soul will prosper, that you will prosper even as your soul prospers. And I think if you read in the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, you see repeated references to prosperity, to the things that God wants to do for you. I don't think God wants people to stay in poverty. I don't think that's God's best for people, and I do think that he will bless you. But what you might say is, show me the way that I must live to please you and to have your favor. And I think more than anything, instead of praying for money, ask God for favor. and ask God for wisdom. And if you have wisdom and favor, you'll wind up getting some money too.
I tell you what, I'm sitting here looking for my little notepad and a piece of pen because these are, good answers. I'm not saying it like I'm shocked. I'm just.
You act like. What could have possibly come over you? You've been gone for a few days.
I know, I've been gone for a couple weeks, and I've come back, and I'm just so
Here it is. Okay.
Nice. I don't know. Martha says, Pat, I've heard that you should have about 3 months of income stored away in case of an emergency. I have about half of that, but it's been sitting in a money market account that had a high yield when I put it in. Now it's earning less than 1%. Where should I put this so that it'll earn something but can stay liquid in case of an emergency?
About a month ago, I would have told you, well, why don't you put some of it in gold? Gold just had about a 10% drop. It just crashed. And so your nest egg could have been in some portion dissipated. I think your ready money pretty much needs to be in cash where you can get at it. Just you got it in a money market fund. I can tell you some things that would give you some high yield. There's certain funds, especially, I really like the funds, the master limited partnerships that have gas and oil pipelines and that kind of thing, and that throw out a pretty good dividend, and they give it regularly. So you get dividends, but they, like all other stocks, are subject to the market fluctuation. And that ready money, it can't be that much you've got on hand. So I wouldn't worry about it. I think if you've got it you need it someplace now. In a money market fund, it's not backed by FDIC. You could put it in a bank where you've got protection up to, a certain amount of money, so you won't necessarily lose it, and it's insured and guaranteed. But that's what you want, it seems like to me. We've had some reserves at CBN, just like you're talking about, and I put them into Australian dollars, Canadian dollars, and at that time those currencies went up in value, but they aren't up now, so they go down, and so it's. I think just keep them in dollars. That little bit of money is not that much. All right.
Good deal. Well, people love to ask you questions.
Okay.
So we want to invite you that if you ever want to ask Pat a question, now is the time. Just log on to CBN.com. He loves them. So that's where you go so that he can answer them with Bring It On.